Well, good morning and welcome to today's episode of Transformed. We're still doing the Me3 series. We'll be doing that for a number of weeks. I just think it's so important that we would actually get that into our spirits of how we live life with God first, others second, and Me3. I'm going to talk to you today about a platform that saves lives.
Welcome to today's message with Pastor Jim Balzano.
As always, thank Park Home for our studio furniture, and I want to thank Taylor Design and Events for designing our studio. We all know people who have used their beauty for personal and selfish gain. Certainly, there have been occasions when a person, whether male or female, has used the shape and features of his or her body to pave the way to a personal destination. Beauty in the hands of those without integrity can be a very dangerous thing. Beauty in the hands of a person who has integrity can be a powerful force in the life of others. Let me give you an example. In 2007, Rachel Brooks was crowned Miss Pennsylvania. She used her statewide platform to bring attention to autism, a cause that was close to her heart. Her 18-year-old brother, Brandon, was diagnosed with autism as a child. Although she had spent time volunteering with Cure Autism Now at the Philadelphia chapter, Brooks decided to change her focus and her platform to autism awareness, unlocking the mystery. Since that time, she has been actively involved in volunteering with Cure Autism Now and Now Autism Speaks. You see, the list of beauty queens becoming activists for a cause is long and varied. They speak and support many worthwhile causes because they've chosen to use the platform they were given, not for themselves, but for the benefit of others. The Bible tells us the story of another beautiful woman whose name was Esther. And maybe I could say she won the Miss Persia contest, if you will. Oh, I don't think that's what they called it, but that's what it might as well have been called. You see, the story of Esther is found in the biblical book of Esther, and it's a story of a young orphan girl raised by either her uncle or some say maybe her cousin Mordecai. There seems to be some debate whether he was a cousin or an uncle. Regardless, he raised her. The story tells us that Esther was chosen from what some believe to be as many as 400 women to be the queen for the king of Persia after he deposed of the former queen. Of the many women chosen to be part of the king's newly acquired harem, one would be chosen to be the queen. The one who was the most beautiful and pleased him would be chosen above all others. Who won this contest? Of course, it was Esther. The Bible tells us that the king loved Esther more than all the other women, and she found favor and kindness with him more than all the others, so that he set the royal crown on her head and made her queen. Talk about a crazy life. Mother and father dead, raised by a relative, chosen to be part of a king's harem, then to become the queen of the kingdom. I don't think she knew it then, but she certainly knew it later. Her beauty had given her a platform to be used by God for the benefit of God's people. Now, I don't want to take a whole lot of time to set the plot, but for those of you who have read the book of Esther, you know that there was a villain named Haman who desired to annihilate and destroy the Jewish people. He was even able to get the king to give him authority to carry out this plan. Therefore, there was a decree that was proclaimed for the annihilation of the Jews throughout the Persian kingdom. The command was given, and the decree had the authority of the king, and so it had to be carried out. Extinction of the Jews was inevitable unless somebody intervened, unless somebody would step in. But it had to be somebody who had a platform to the king. That person was Esther. Mordecai, the one who raised her, sent word to Esther about the plot of Haman to destroy the Jews. He asked her to go into the king's chambers to plead with him for the life of their people. Basically, her response was no, because she knew she could face death if she were to go into the king's chambers uninvited. At that point, she wasn't willing to risk her life for the life of her people until Mordecai said the following. This is what he said. Do not imagine that you in the king's palace can escape any more than all the other Jews. For if you remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance will arise for the Jews from another place, and you and your father's house will perish. And who knows that you have come to such a place for such a time as this? You see, her beauty gave her a platform to be used by God for the benefit of his people if she would use it according to the mandate of God and according to a Me3 standard, which would put God first and others second and herself third. If she chose not to use the platform, notice that Mordecai said to her she'd lose it anyhow. Isn't it funny? God gives us platforms in our lives, and those platforms are being used for the benefit of his people. But an unused platform will ultimately be a platform that we lose. Those who chose to not use a God-given platform may actually ultimately lose that platform. And so this is what happened. Esther came to a place that everybody arrives at. She had to come to this place where she had to say, okay, what am I going to do with this? And she said, I will go into the king, which is not according to the law. And if I perish, I perish. You see, unless you are willing to die to self, you will never effectively use the platform given to you by God. You may not be a beauty queen, and you may not have a platform as large as being queen of the kingdom, but you have a platform. You have some platform. You have some audience. You have some influence somewhere. It might be your job, a hobby. It might be friendships. It might be success. It might even be heartache and disappointment sometimes. It could be failure, but it's a platform. If you'll use it for the benefit of God's people, I promise you there'll be blessing there. You know, every year, a feast called Purim is celebrated by the Jewish people to remember the lives that were saved because a woman named Esther lived out and operated in a fashion that said, I'm going to put myself last. I'm going to put God first, and I'm going to put his people second. And if I perish, I perish. You know what? There are people alive today because of what she was willing to do. And so let me say this. You've been given a platform. You've got one. Somebody has one larger than you. Yours might be larger than another. It doesn't matter the size of the platform. What matters is the significance of the platform and how you use it. And the only way that you can most effectively use the platform God gives you is when you put God first, others second, and you put yourself third. So this week, use that platform. God bless you. Have a great week.